When I first thought of trying to develop an economic project, for some reason or other, I thought maybe by getting people interested in purchasing these bags, and we knew the co-ops were about reducing prices and that people participated in the shopping. Now, in order to get this started, we came up with the idea of a food bag each week, which consists of 5 pounds of potatoes, a meat, like it might be a ham or maybe canned meats, whatever, plus apples and vegetables, and greens. The greens were generally the vegetables, another canned green, and we sold them for $5. We worked out of about 5 different centers. The place where we put these bags together was on Genesee Street, and we'd go out on Friday mornings. There were 5 brothers from the lodge that would go with me, and we'd go out, and they also happened to work with me at the post office. We'd go out and collect the vegetables, bushes of apples, sometimes we got squash, sometimes we got the greens, and then we'd order the meats to go into them from generally at the Clinton Market, where the wholesalers were. We bring this back to the center where we put them together. Actually, the women would come in on Friday night who were volunteers, and they would put the bags together. On Saturday morning, we'd take them to several distribution places, one of which was, at that time, was the African Cultural Center, and distribute bags from those units. The bags were ordered through the week from various community centers, like the African Cultural Center, and there were a couple other places and churches would place out our flyers. The people would order from the flyers. We'd receive the flyers on Thursday night, and then on Friday morning we knew how much goods we needed in order to fill the bags and orders that we had. On Saturday, some were taken out to distribution points. One of the points we had was Salem United Church on Sherman Street. We'd take bags down there in the basement, and people would come who had put their orders in through Salem Church and pick their bags up. We had people come over to the Genesee Street operation, and also people would go over to the African American Center on Maston. They would pick them up by noon, and then at noon we'd take our proceeds and find out where we were at, and we'd have the money to buy for the next week. We weren't making a major profit on it. The bags at $5, I guess we might have made $1 on it. And we were also trying to sell the idea of a cooperative that would sell shares, trying to develop a economic program that would be developed by the members of the community through their monies. At one time, we were sponsored by the first March on Hunger that came through. They did a march around Delaware Avenue and raised something like $10,000. The following year, we took the monies from the March on Hunger and set up a office out of which we were able to do our accounting, our bookkeeping, and hold our administrative meetings, and became a more organized operation. We had a truck for picking up our goods. We had a truck for taking our goods around to the centers. In the course of that operation, we had a fellow working with us by the name of Bob Gore. He was also on the board of directors, I believe, of model cities and introduced them to our program. They were interested in the program because they could see it as a community developing operation. They came to us, offered us sponsorship, and we were the first contract to be signed under the Model Cities program, in which we received quite an substantial funding, and we set up a market over on William Street, 300 William Street it was. We actually set up a full, what would have been a medium market, but we sold all the things that any other grocery store sells. We had a meat department, we had frozen department, we had canned goods department, we had bread department, we had everything, and we still continued our bagging operation because there were families that profited from those bags because it was a lower price meal, and it really took care of a weekend meal for a family. Echo was incorporated in 1969, and we had our own board of directors, president, treasurer, secretary, and our board was 12 members. And then we had our membership who became members just by buying shares. The shares were $5 a piece, and I don't think we had more than 3 members that had more than $400 a share. But we did amass, say, $69,000 worth of shares. So for that time and the work that we were doing, I think we had done well. Well, at the time, we were doing a fair amount of business, and I guess people spotted and saw that there was cash there and available, and we hadn't had any experience with this kind of thing. So the people came in and did the holdup. At the time, we had two women in the money counting area, the offices we had, and the guard was in the back. He didn't know the robbery was happening. So when he came out from the back, one of our clerks happened to scream, and that drew the attention of the robbers to look up into the mirror and saw him coming and shot him as he came down the aisle. Well, after that made the rest of our staff rather nervous, and they weren't particular, since this was not their livelihood, they were not particular about carrying on the operation. And I guess since it was not my livelihood, I didn't feel that I could ask somebody to volunteer their time or spend their time on something that was not a matter of life and death to them. Well, Model Cities gave us a chance to really put up a market. With our bagging operation, it would have taken us years to build up that kind of income. They actually allowed us to rent a building of size, to set up a market, and hire people. We had in our contract, we had the job descriptions, we had the salaries that they were to get, and the rents, and the total experience of building a market we went through twice, because first we set up a market at 300 William Street. Then we moved from there into a larger, about 12,000 square foot market over on Genesee and Johnson. And over there, we even had a fair-sized parking lot so the people could come in and park and shop, and it was a viable market there. If we had had the public support, if they'd understood that our prices were the same and understood it as a community-owned operation, they might have supported more. I think sometimes They get the view because they see you in charge. They think of it as your market, not as their market. And that's a hard thing to get over to people who don't have much of an experience of dealing with their own ownership.